Kerala lost a cultural icon on Christmas Day. M.T. Vasudevan Nair, one of the greatest writers in Malayalam and India, passed away in Kozhikode at the age of 91 on Wednesday night. Popularly known as M.T., his novels, film screenplays, short stories captured the imagination of Kerala over the last 7 decades. M.T. authored 9 novels, 19 short story collections, directed 6 films, and wrote 54 screenplays for films and published many collections of essays and memoirs in his period. M.T. received the Jnanpith award in the year 1995, India's highest literary honor, along with many other accolades like the Kendra Sahitya Akademi Award, Kerala Sahitya Akademi Award, Vayalar Award, Vallathol Award, Eruthachan Award, Mathrubhumi Literary Award, and ONV Literary Award. In the year 2005, he was honoured with the Padma Bhushan, India's 3rd highest civilian award. M.T. began writing at a very young age. He was just 25 years old when he won the Kerala Sahitya Akademi Award for his 2nd novel, Naalu Kettu, in the year 1959. Besides Naalu Kettu, Asura Vidu, Manju, and Kalam are regarded as his other landmark novels. As far as films are concerned, Oru Vadakkan Veeragatha and Kadavu are considered the greatest of all of his works. M.T. began writing at a time when the likes of Vaikom Muhammad Bashir and Takari Sivasankara Pillai were leading the Malayalam literary scene. But his evocative stories around the decline of joint aristocratic families and their angry young men and independent-minded women founded legions of fans among the readers. Over the years, as the editor of the Malayalam daily Mathrubhumi, M.T. introduced to the literary scene a number of writers, including O.V. Vijayan, M. Mukundan, Paul Zakaria, and Sarah Joseph. One of the headlines in the Malayalam press today captures the essence of the man and his contributions. M.T. Malayalam lost 2 of its alphabets, says the headline in Madhyamam. The Mathrubhumi, which he edited, as well as the Malayalam Manorama, have multi-page tributes to the writer. Newspaper offices in Kerala were closed on account of Christmas Day, and so for a state where most households get the daily newspaper, and the day of his passing, it's only the e-edition of the papers and the TV that people turn to read news about his passing. There's also perhaps an appropriate tribute for a man who brought modernity to Malayalam fiction and literature. We have my colleague Sudha Sadanand now joining us in the studio to understand everything that you need to know about M.T. Vasudevan Nair, fondly known as M.T. Sudha, you're talking about a name that puts a smile on the faces of every person from Kerala, every Malayalam speaking person. It is, after a point, a personal loss for people from Kerala, as apart from the fact that it's a national loss as far as a literary and a filmmaking icon is concerned.
You know, M.T. Vasudevan belongs to that category of men who was not just an author, he was an influencer, and not, I don't mean by how we understand influencer today, somebody who could reflect what the society was thinking, doing at that time. Also look at the different hats that he wore. He was, you know, a journalist, later took on the editorship of Mathrubhumi. He was a writer, and he was a fantastic screenplay writer, wrote 54 screenplays. Of course, he always said that he did not really enjoy directing films, but films were a part of his entire artistic umbrella, as it were. And someone who can be called a prodigy very clearly, Krishna, because at the age of 20, when he was a chemistry undergraduate, he wrote his first story, you know, Valaratumri Gangal, and then he won an international prize for it at the age of 20. Imagine this man, young man from Kerala. And after that, he wrote his first novel, which is Naalu Kettu, and for which he won the Kerala Sahitya Akademi in 1958, and of course in 95 I think he won the Jnanpith award. The thing about M.T. was that if you look at it, you know, to put it in a way, I mean, it's an ocean, Krishna, but if you want to put it, you know, very concisely, he spoke about rural Kerala, the changing times of rural Kerala. He spoke about women. He spoke about large family, the interpersonal relationships, the fights, the romance, the love and the loss of love, etc., etc., and what women characters he had, and of course men as well. So he was a man who reflected Kerala at that time like no one could. And literature was also making a transition from what it was, which was dramatic, of course, which was very classic, to modern day. And I think MT was the bridge. He took people, held their hand and said, okay, it's time to look at it, look at literature from a different prism, and that being modern.
Right, and you're talking about a man who started writing novels in the 50s, wrote his first screenplay in the year 1965, and eventually directed his first film in the 1970s, early 1970s, called Nirmalyam. For his debut feature. He won the National Award for Best Feature Film, and that's how good he is. If he won an award for the first story he ever wrote, the first movie he ever directed also won the National Film Award for Best Feature Film. And from then on, I'm talking about from 50s, 60s, 70s to till the 2000s, his last major theatrical film release was the movie Parasi Raja, starring Mammootty. That film, was the most expensive Malayalam film ever made till the time, say 2009, 20 crores. Went on to be one of the highest grossing, highest collecting Malayalam films as well. And look at this man who's been able to deliver path-breaking work from the 50s till up to the 2010s.
And also the film which really, actually, I saw Nirmalyam, but of course I only remember a few scenes, and one of the path-breaking scenes, as it were, is the oracle and the face of the Devi, and that itself at that time had really, it was amazing the kind of messaging there was to it, and there was a subaltern message also in what MT Vasudevan Nair was doing, but then it was very easily comprehensible to normal or usual moviegoers. Oru Vadakkan, Veeragatha, Mammootty in the role, 16th century, North Malabar, an orphan called Chandu who comes home to his uncle, and this is a family which trains all the nobles, in fighting, in martial arts, if one may want to say, but in self-defense. And then the kind of a clash between Chandu and the son of the uncle. The costumes, it won many national awards, Mammootty, Best Actor, Screenplay, MT, and also for costume designing. That was one period drama which very modern elements, Krishna, in the sense jealousy, between cousins, which is of course a perennial topic starting with the Mahabharata.
Yeah, absolutely. And in that sense, he was a chronicler of the life and times of the people of Kerala, wasn't it? His work resonated so much with the people of Kerala because of the themes he had taken up. He's talking about society, he's talking about the deficiencies of modern society. He was in that sense revolutionary in incorporating all of that into the fictional works that he was making. Also, to all the national audiences watching this broadcast, they need to know that MT Vasudevan Nair is one of the most translated writers. His works have been translated into English. Many of his works. So in that sense, that is the reason why his impact and the love for MT Vasudevan Nair goes outside the borders of Kerala.
Absolutely. And Krishna, you must have watched the new series on one of the OTT platforms, which is introduced by Kamala Hassan, both in Malayalam as well as Tamil, and MT's several stories, and it stars Mammootty, it stars Mohanlal, iconic stars. I mean, the setting, if anyone says MT Vasudevan belonged to one particular era, I completely disagree. His stories are very much of today and of tomorrow, not so much of yesterday. Rendamuram, which he wrote, which is based on the Mahabharata, looking at the epic from the prism of Bhima, who is not considered to be one of the main protagonists, as it were. I know it's unfair, but you always look at Yudhishthir, who stood for Dharma. You looked at Arjuna for valor and for, somebody who was a hero, and even Karna to a great extent. But Bhima, MT sir did it. MT sir said, let's look at the Mahabharata from someone who is all brawn, who's all muscle, who stands there, son of Hanumana, and let's look at how he looks at Mahabharata. That is the beauty. And also the joint family, they lived in these beautiful homes called Tharavads, and his three novels, whether it's Kalam particularly, or Asuravit, I remember that all of these novels concentrate on the joint family system in Kerala and the equations thereof. I mean, gargantuan kind of a theme, stories within story. The real mark of a storyteller, as it were.
Real mark of one of the most iconic storytellers in the country. You know, his loss comes at a time when everybody is also talking about the Malayalam film industry and what wonderful films that they are making. But there are many people in Kerala, many Malayalis out there who want the kind of works that M.T. Vasudevan Nair wrote in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Those kind of films to be made, and it is in that sense a loss today that he's not there with this rising new wave of Malayalam cinema. His stories are not coming to the screen at this stage.
Well, of course, Malayalam cinema is fantastic and they want it back, because let's understand one thing. After a while, when Malayalam cinema became kind of political, and I don't mean by any particular director, what his great talent M.T. Vasudevan was that despite having mentored people like O.V. Vijayan or Thagari, Shivashankara Pillai, M.T. Vasudevan decided that he is going to be somebody who is only going to be a storyteller, and he's not going to really mix politics so much into his storytelling. It's about society, the trends, the mores, as it were, at the time, and how were they impacting rural Kerala. And I think that is real storytelling, because the minute, I'm speaking on behalf of MT, and I hope he agrees with me wherever he is, MT sir, the minute you inject politics into it, somewhere you also divide the audiences. So Vasudevan, everyone, right from if you are a 10-year-old to a 9, because he wrote children's stories as well, Krishna. Let's not forget. So whoever, cutting across all age barriers, his story was as a story should be told, for adults about love and loss and romance, and for the children for the magic realism there is to life.
M.T. Vasudevan Nair, who will be missed by one and all. Sudha, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us.